What's going on, YouTube? This is Rybo back at the bench today, and this time I've got another cut or carry knife review. Today looking at the Spyderco Siren. So this is an interesting knife, really one that kind of flew under my radar. I had seen it, I had seen pictures, but just never really jumped out at me. But this was lent in for me to take a look at, and I'm really happy that it was because spoiler alert, I love this knife. This is one of the more surprising knives to me in recent history. So let's talk about it for a few minutes. Real quick size comparison. So usually I like to do Spyderco comparisons. So this is the PM2. So you can see this is a big knife. This is even a little bit bigger, I think, than the PM2. Let's bring out Spidey Chef, and let's do Delica as well, just to keep it in the Spidey family. So yeah, pretty large knife. This was, I believe, designed by a kayak fisherman, and so this is supposed to be kind of a maritime knife. That's probably not the right phrasing, but this is supposed to be kind of a water knife, something to use out on a boat or around water. LC200N, which is an absolutely fantastic steel. And then you have this very aggressive G10 and a backlock, and really that's it. It's a very basic knife. There's not a whole lot else to say about it. You have the wire clip back there, which is not the silver clip. It's like a almost black, not quite. It's not coated, I don't think, but anyway. So yeah, that's about all there is to say. You do have those blue liners in there, so you can kind of see that. But yeah, that's about it for the knife. So let's go ahead and talk about the Spyderco Siren. Things that I like, things that I don't like. First up, I mentioned LC200N. So that is a steel that I first experienced with the Spidey Chef here. And I had heard about it, and I didn't know a ton of it. Did not know a ton about it. But in really using the Spidey Chef and some experience sharpening and seeing how it does with edge retention and corrosion and whatnot, LC200N may be my favorite steel. I have a few favorite steels, S30V being one of them, but LC200N to me has the best edge retention of a steel of that caliber that I've experienced. And it has absolutely no corrosion issues that I have ever seen. And so this is a popular choice for knives that are used around water, particularly knives that are possibly used around salt water. But it is phenomenal. So while I haven't, stress tested this specific knife, and you can see that I have gotten this knife dirty, LC200N is a fantastic choice, and it's what you would want to see on a knife like this. So that's great. Next up on things that I like, this is a very stiff backlock. It's a very satisfying backlock, and it's very basic, but it's very strong, and it's exactly what you would want, again, on a really a utility knife, a knife that is going to get used and abused. A good backlock that's what you want. It's going to be very reliable. You're not going to have any issues with it. It's very easy to operate, even if you're wearing gloves or something like that. The compression lock or other lock mechanisms are great, but in my opinion, for a real work knife, and especially on a boat, someone who, I love to kayak fish. And so I always carry a knife on me when I'm out there. A backlock is really my favorite thing. It's just simple, easy to use, easy to disengage even with gloves on. And so I think that's a great choice for a knife like this. Other things that I like. So one of the surprising things or unexpected things about this knife that I did not pick up in pictures, but you really get it when you have the knife in hand, is this aggressive G10. So you can kind of look at this pattern here. Try to get up real close. But it doesn't really do it justice until you actually touch it. This is very, very aggressive, not uncomfortably so. But this almost feels like a skateboard grip tape. If you skateboard or longboard, that's about what this feels like. It's not quite that rough, like to where you feel like you're going to scratch yourself, but it's very aggressive. And that is excellent, especially for use around water. This thing is not coming out of the hands. I find it very comfortable, but aggressive at the same time, and I like that a lot. Something like this, which is a great G10 texture that you can find on a lot of Spyderco models. The Man X2 comes to mind, the PM2, et cetera, et cetera. That's great, and I think it works well for kind of all-around utility knife. It's going to be fairly easy to clean, but something like this, which may be harder to clean, but that's probably not your priority on a work knife like this. This is really great, very, very grippy. That's one of my favorite things about the knife is the aggressive G10. I think it's really fantastic. Other things that I like, I love the wire clip, so I like that quite a bit. There are some downsides, but I can talk about that in a few minutes. Other things that I like, I find this knife to be fairly ergonomic. You do have this little hump right here that does, I tend to dislike stuff like this. I actually find this one fairly comfortable, and I don't mind this on something that you really want to get a grip on. So I don't really have a problem with that, and particularly because you can still get a full hand grip on the knife. So I don't feel like I'm too far back. I don't feel like I need that extra space. So I really don't mind that at all. I can see myself definitely, cutting rope or doing something like that when I'm fishing. I can definitely see you using a grip like this, and I find that very, very comfortable. So that's great. Other things that I like, the blade shape. So for a fishing knife or for a water knife, I find this blade shape to be really, really appealing. And I can't speak from experience with this knife in particular because I haven't taken this one out and I haven't tried for this type of thing. But when I see this knife, I immediately think fillet knife to some degree. Now, granted, it's not a fillet knife. It's clearly not a fillet knife. But it's reminiscent of a fillet knife to me. And so I think that's pretty cool visually. I also think that's pretty cool practically. I like that it doesn't have a huge belly because I think that would help with some of those some of those activities if you didn't want to fillet with this. But also it's very practical just for daily use. I think on a work knife like this, I much prefer a tip on the Siren that is a little bit stouter than like the PM2 here, just give you a little bit extra strength, but it's still a pretty thin blade profile. And full flat grind, fairly thin blade. And so I think that for the type of work that you're going to be doing with a knife like this, that blade profile is a really, really good choice. And I think just all around, it's going to do a lot of things that you would want to do. So I do really like that. I think that's probably about it. I think I hit, there's not a ton special about this knife visually. So I think I've hit the highlights, but those are the things that I really like about it. Now, things that I don't like about the Spyderco Siren. Really only one or two things here. So one issue is the pocket clip with this aggressive G10. It's kind of hard to get in and out of the pockets. As you can imagine, this kind of tears up your pants, or at least feels like it's tearing it up. There's a positive and there's a negative there, right? So the positive side of that is if you are on a boat, you are on the water, you are on a kayak. I don't know if you've ever been on a kayak, but when I'm out on mine, I always have this paranoia that I'm going to drop stuff from my pockets or that's clipped to me into the water. And so a lot of times I rig up little buoy systems or little, I'll cut a pool float and make little like pool float keychains to attach to all my stuff just in case things do fall in. Oh, there goes my lighting telling me that it's out of batteries. But either way, the positive side is you're not going to lose this. The negative side is if you are carrying it just as kind of a daily carry or you're not in the water, it is going to be kind of annoying to get in and out of the pocket. So there's good there, there's bad there. So kind of take that for what you will. The other thing is I have never been a black and blue knife guy. I've never liked blue accents on a knife. They're very popular. It's just not my thing. I don't think this looks terrible. It's just, whatever. It gives it some added appeal, I guess, but I would prefer that to be a different color. That's not my thing. Besides that, really the only other negative thing I can say about this knife is that it's just not super sexy. It's not a, visually stunning knife or anything like that. There goes my lighting again. So let's try to wrap this up. Yeah, that's about all that I can say, in terms of negative things about this knife. Overall, this is a big time carry for me. I really like this knife. This is really surprising to me because it's one of those boring Spydercos that came out and you think, well, you just have way too many knives in your collection and, Spyderco just comes out with way too many things. That's probably accurate, but this one serves a very niche purpose and I really like it and I've been very surprised by how much I like it. So I hope you liked this review and I'll see you next time.